What's up, Boiler fans? It's T.O. here. Welcome back to the Boilerhood. Tonight I'll be previewing the upcoming top 10 matchup that takes place Saturday, December 6th at noon in Mackey against the Iowa State Cyclones. Your number one Boilers will host a really talented team, and it's going to be probably the best non-con game of the year so far of this young college basketball season. Excited to get into it. Glad you're here with me previewing. I will end up live streaming the event on Saturday, so hope you guys tune into that. And we'll have some fun, hopefully rooting for the Boilers in this senior class of Smith, Lawyer, and TKR to win their 8th time against a top 10 ranked opponent in their time here at Purdue. So it is shaping up to be an awesome matchup. Mackey's going to be rocking. Let's get into where the Boilers stand. Earlier this week on Tuesday, we went into Piscataway where we had a business-like win against Rutgers. Wasn't anything flashy, made the right plays, did the right things. Smith really showed up and came out of there with the win to improve to 8-0 on the year. So I really love the rhythm that this team is starting to build together. We're deep at every position, and players are starting to come into their own. And if people have off nights, the depth really comes through and people step up. So love the rhythm the Boilers are building, and that's reflected in our 8-0 start. So where have the Cyclones been? So Iowa State is also 8-0. Resounding absolute demolishment of Alcorn State on Wednesday, 132-68. Alcorn State is a nobody. It was a tune-up game for them, but they looked elite in that way. You don't put up 132 points without being elite in all facets. So they also have dismantled Syracuse by 31, and Syracuse just beat Tennessee at home. So that's interesting. The only close game they've been in this season was a 1-point victory over St. John's, 83-82. And they also beat Creighton by 18 points. Iowa State is no slouch. They've probably flown under the radar from the media, but they're really well coached. TJ Altzenberger has been their coach for 5 years and has really taken this program to a new level. And they're good to watch. They're together. They're tough on defense. They create a bunch of steals and really share the basketball. So I think that where he has the program going is why Painter probably wanted to play them. Painter doesn't shy away from playing the best of the best, and this is another example of that. And I believe it's the best non-con game of the year. At least I believe it's going to be the most elite level, high IQ basketball that we're going to see. So yeah, let's get a little bit more into the Cyclones just before we kind of see what the Boilers need to do to take this win here at home. Let's go with their best players. So basically I perused some highlights before I kind of dove into the stats or the metrics, but they have a point forward named Joshua Jefferson, who is a big matchup nightmare. He is really nice because he can handle the ball. He can kind of bring up the ball with the slow tempo. He can shoot the rock from 3, and he also can put the ball on the floor and get to the hoop. And he's a distributor. I'll get into his stats later, but Joshua Jefferson will be kind of their head of the snake from the highlights I've seen, kind of operating and doing everything, all the levels of scoring and whatnot. He's their strong and steady anchor, so it'll be interesting to see how the Boilers match up against him. Their other player, Momcilovic, he is a sharpshooter, and when I was watching the Alcorn State highlights, and there were many Iowa State highlights, he was 8 of 8 from deep at one point. I don't know if he ended up missing. I didn't check his final stats, but from 3, he was 8 of 8 that game. So an absolute flamethrower. We'll have to, basically be glued to him at all times. Their freshman guard, Torre, has skill on both ends. I saw him making plays throughout the highlights. He is a freshman, And I'm sure we'll try to maybe take advantage of him as the game goes on, or take away, I would say, the other two, and maybe let Torre kind of be their guy and have him beat us. So that would be my game plan. This team hasn't really faced a team as solid as Purdue. St. John's is a little overrated. Creighton, I don't know if they're as tough as they have been in the past. And Syracuse is Syracuse. So I guess, State will have advantages, and we'll see how they take advantage of those. But I would imagine Purdue at home is going to be the favorite. And that's just kind of my initial thoughts toward the game. And when I get into the analytics of Iowa State, they do catch my eye. And this is not an opponent to be taken lightly. They come in at 4th overall in the KenPom rankings. They are one of the most balanced teams in college hoops by far. Top 10 in both offensive efficiency and defensive efficiency. 9th in offense, 6th in defense. So it's very impressive to be top 10 in one of those categories, but to be top 10 in both is exceptional. So the analytics are very impressed with Iowa State. And just from my perspective of their film and just a couple quick watches, I'm also very impressed with them. Joshua Jefferson, as we said, is the stat monster. 18.4 points to go along with 17.3 rebounds and 5.6 assists. Milovic shooting 54.8% from deep, and he's attempted 60 plus on the year so far through 8 games. So that is a little scary. We'll see if Mackey can have an impact and the paint crew can have an impact on Momcilovic. Toure is averaging 12 points, 2.6 assists, and 2.6 rebounds, which is very impactful as a freshman. And then the last 3 games, Iowa State has been without their star guard, Tamian Lipsey. And so he's been dealing with a groin injury. I'm not sure of the status of him just yet, but if he comes back, their whole entire system, gets a little scarier, I would say. So it's very interesting. I'm excited they're coming to Mackey. We get that advantage, and they create a lot of steals. They're forcing like 12 steals a game. So will that be enough to slow down the Boilers' top offense? And I have a little bit of bad news for Cyclone fans. Fletch and CJ are both coming off down shooting nights in Rutgers in Piscataway. So when they're coming home, big game Fletch and big game CJ, they're going to be ready to lace it and to fire away. I have a feeling they're going to improve their shooting stats at home, and I'd be a little scared and worried if I was Iowa State. So that's my prediction. I think they're going to have a little bit of a bounce back. Ultimately, we're going to have to impose our will with physicality, especially in that front court. I don't think Iowa State's seen a front court as physical as the likes of Clough, Jacobson, and TKR. I believe that that's really where the advantage for the Boilers can come through, but minus Braden and our shooting as well, our offensive efficiency. But it does start with the basics for the Boilers. I think winning the battle of the boards and the possession battle, limiting turnovers, starting with the simple things is going to really be the key to establishing our level of play and making sure that we're carrying out our game plan. So executing at a high level will come with Braden, but he's going to have his hands full. It'll be very interesting to see how the Cyclones decide to guard Braden. I have a feeling he's going to be needed the majority of the game. And just with his level of toughness and execution, I don't know if we're going to really be able to turn to maybe Omer during a matchup this big. Omer's been in a little bit of a slump. Not to say he can't break out and can't come in and make an impact, but I just believe that Braden will be needed majority of this game given Iowa State's tenacity on defense. So I think that the big keys, like I said, limit turnovers. and winning the possession battle on the glass. That's going to be what it comes down to for Purdue. Both teams can score and shoot, so just making sure that we're crashing the glass and not giving away any extra possessions that don't need to be had. And then how do we stop Joshua Jefferson? I feel like this is almost a deja vu of Toppin. I can see us deciding we want to double him and make his flow kind of sped up or get him out of rhythm. And I think doubling him will be a crucial component to our game plan. We'll see. Don't want to leave Momcilovic open at all. And yeah, they've got tough guys. All their role players in the highlights, like they're not scared. They're physical. They're tough too. But Mackey's going to be rocking, and the paint crew is going to be fired up for this Saturday noon tip-off. Iowa State might get a little rattled. I don't think they've had this type of experience. They've obviously played in Allen Fieldhouse and some other tough environments, but Mackey is a different beast. The volcanic atmosphere that we know and love, I'm hoping will have a great impact. And so I do expect this matchup to be the highest level of basketball played this season. So if you're a college hoops fan, enjoy it, tune in, lock in. I'm going to be live streaming it. And then the side note that I love as a hoops fan in general is Tyrese Halliburton plans on attending the game in Mackey. So he's Iowa State's premier alumnus, a fan favorite of Indiana people everywhere. So I'm sure he'll be having fun. Guessing he's sitting behind their bench rocking Iowa State gear. But I do hope that Saturday he leaves back to Indianapolis with a little bit of disappointment and the Boilers come through with the victory. It's time to boiler up and hammer down. All aboard the Boilerhood. My prediction, Purdue by 6 in a semi-low scoring affair, 74-68. That's it for TO and the Boilerhood. Peace out, and we'll see you guys on Saturday. Enjoy the game.